You wake up to a screen lit with overnight alerts. News headlines flash crisis and conflict. Notifications beg for your immediate attention. Before you've even taken a sip of morning air, your heart is racing. Another day begins in a world that feeds on your urgency and fear. It's as if the modern world wants to ensure you start your morning not with peace, but with a jolt of adrenaline. You haven't even stepped out of bed, and the outside world has already invaded your mind, setting a frantic tone for the day. This reaction, this spike of anxiety at dawn, is not just an accident. It has been engineered, refined by industries that profit from your panic. They've learned that nothing grabs attention better than a dose of fear. After all, a calm mind might scroll past, but an uneasy one stops and clicks. Our economy runs on attention, and fear is the easiest way to seize it. Some say we no longer just live in an attention economy, but in an anxiety economy. In other words, keeping you worried keeps the world clicking, buying, and scrolling. Think about it. When you're uneasy, you check your phone countless times a day. What drives that restless compulsion? It's not always a genuine need for information. It's often fear, fear of missing out, fear of bad news, fear for your safety and future. Fear mixed with uncertainty becomes anxiety, and anxiety is the fuel that powers the modern media machine. Online platforms and advertisers know this. They want you perpetually glued to the feed, and they do it by keeping you on edge with endless notifications, breaking news, and sensational content. There's a saying in newsrooms, if it bleeds, it leads. In other words, crisis gets attention. Just notice how you feel when a breaking news banner blares on your screen, that little spike of alarm. Late at night, you might find yourself doom scrolling through an infinite feed of disasters, each headline more shocking than the last. Each new crisis keeps your brain on high alert, making it harder to pull away. It's a cycle. Worry leads you to seek more information, but the way information is delivered fuels more worry. Social media works in the same way. Outrage and panic spread faster than calm facts because our brains are primed to react to threats. The result? We become captive to a constant fight-or-flight stimulus. In that hyper-alert state, we click more links, watch more ads, and make impulsive purchases, seeking relief. Our anxiety is profitable to someone. But where does that leave you? It leaves a human being in a state of constant agitation, chasing a sense of security that never arrives. The truth is, a chronically anxious mind is easy to manipulate but miserable to live with. To reclaim our peace, we first need to recognize this. Calmness is not just a personal virtue, it's a form of defiance. When you remain calm, you aren't feeding the panic-driven economy. You're denying it its favorite food, your frightened attention. In a culture that equates being constantly busy or updated with being responsible, choosing calm and stillness is a quiet rebellion. There's social pressure to react to every notification, to stay in the loop, to never miss a beat. Stepping away can even feel wrong, like you're being lazy or uninformed. Yet in a world where our value seems tied to ceaseless productivity, sometimes doing nothing is the most important form of resistance. Think about that. Nothing is harder these days than to do nothing at all, to step away from the stream of updates. At first, doing nothing might feel uncomfortable or guilt-inducing, but that discomfort is exactly why it's powerful. It means you're breaking the norm. Stepping away reminds you that your attention is yours to reclaim, not a resource to be mined. Every time you pause to take a breath instead of reacting to the latest alarmist headline, you are pushing back. Every time you sit in silence or take a slow walk without your phone, you are training yourself in freedom. From the attention economy, even boredom can become a superpower. What if we saw regular moments of stillness, even occasional boredom, not as a waste of time, but as a practice of resistance that could help us reclaim our lives, our attention, and our sanity? To be calm, deliberately, in a world frantic for our engagement is to say no to being used. It's choosing self-care over the demands of algorithms and news cycles. Why does calmness help you see clearly? Because physiologically, panic literally narrows our mind. When we're in a state of fear, our body activates a fight-or-flight response. Stress hormones surge, our heart pounds, and our brain's threat center, the amygdala, takes over. In this state, the rational part of our mind, the frontal lobes, gets momentarily shut down. We've all felt it. Intense anxiety makes it nearly impossible to think straight or make wise decisions. This amygdala hijack floods us with emotion and shuts down our ability to reason. Now consider what that means when alarm bells are ringing all around us. If we live in constant panic mode, we live with our discernment impaired. In a prolonged fight or flight state, our brains default to reflex over reflection. We become more susceptible to misinformation, more prone to knee-jerk reactions, more likely to be led by whoever shouts the loudest. Our nervous system, when keyed up in chronic stress, simply isn't in a state to question or analyze. It just reacts. No wonder it's hard to tell truth from noise when we're constantly on edge. It's biology, not a personal failing, that clear thinking is difficult when anxiety runs high. The antidote is to intentionally engage our calming system, what scientists call the parasympathetic nervous system. When you slow down your breathing, when you pause before responding, you give your brain a chance to switch out of emergency mode. Just a few deep breaths can start to deactivate the amygdala's alarm and re-engage the brain's reasoning centers. In moments of calm, our perspective widens again. We can discern fact from fiction, signal from noise. With a calmer nervous system, we regain the power to choose our response instead of being hijacked by our initial impulse. This is why calmness is not complacency, it's discernment. It lets you decide what truly deserves your energy and what doesn't. In a world optimized for speed, slowing down is a strategy, a way to outsmart a system that wants knee-jerk reactions. Tech companies and advertisers have designed apps and experiences to make us act first and think later. They intend to collapse the time between feeling a need and clicking buy now. But when you slow down, even for a few moments, you break that circuit. You restore the gap between trigger and response. In that gap lies your freedom. Yes, slowing down can feel like swimming upstream when everything around you is speeding up, but that's exactly why it's so powerful. Something transformative happens when you introduce a pause. You see an ad but don't immediately add to cart. You read a provocative post, but wait before you share or reply. That waiting, that simple act of not reacting on impulse, is incredibly strategic. It gives your wiser mind a chance to step in and say, hold on, do I really want or need this? By creating a little time and distance before you act, you reclaim agency over your choices. It's like inserting a breath of cool air into a stifling room. Suddenly, you have space to move, to decide for yourself with clarity. All of this boils down to one idea: control. Who controls your inner state and your attention? Is it you, or the endless stream of alerts and agendas pulling at you? Every act of calm deliberateness is a way of saying, I own my mind. You are asserting that your attention is yours to direct, not a commodity to be frantically harvested by others. Remember, you decide where to spend your time and energy. You have more control than you've been led to believe. The moment you remember this, you start to become the sovereign of your own life again. It can be as practical as setting boundaries, silencing non-essential notifications, scheduling when you'll check the news instead of being on call to the world 24/7. It can be as profound as redefining what success and productivity mean to you, so that constant frenzy is not the measure of your worth. When you slow down and stay calm, you make room for what truly matters. You can focus on meaningful work or genuine rest without the background buzz of collective panic. You can engage with others more empathetically rather than through the lens of stress and reactivity. In short, you begin to live on your own terms. This kind of calm presence has a ripple effect too. Your example quietly gives others permission to slow down, to breathe, to question the frenzy. It's a gentle form of leadership, showing that it's possible to live and thrive differently in the midst of chaos. Choosing calm in a panicked world is not about escaping reality. It's about facing reality on your terms. In times of mass hysteria, the one who stays centered is not running away. They are often leading the way. Think of great leaders or movements rooted in peace. Their calm resolve was their strength, not a weakness. Likewise, your calmness can be a source of clarity and courage for yourself and those around you. So the next time the world tries to sell you panic, remember that you have a choice. Refuse to buy in with your anxiety. Take that pause, take a breath, and reconnect with your own presence. In a world addicted to noise, stillness is a revolutionary act. To be calm is to stand apart from the frenzy, not in indifference, but in quiet defiance. Calmness isn't resignation or apathy. It's being in the storm without becoming the storm. It is a statement that your mind is your own. In fact, there's nothing more subversive to a system built on knee-jerk reactions than someone who simply stops reacting as expected. That person cannot be easily manipulated by fear-mongering or false urgency. Point. This is not a retreat from the world. It's a way to transform how you engage with it. Calmness, practiced collectively, could become a cultural revolution, a quiet peace protocol for a more sane society. But it starts with individual choices, with each of us reclaiming our attention and our nervous system from those who would monetize our fear. Point. Imagine the power of millions of people making this choice. A groundswell of minds that can't be easily bought or panicked, but respond thoughtfully and humanely. That is the hope and promise of calm as resistance. Stay calm, not as a passive retreat, but as a conscious revolution in how we live. In the end, your peace is yours, and in a world that profits from your panic, claiming that peace is a radical act of self-liberation. What small act of calm could you offer today, not just for yourself, but as a signal to others that another way is possible? If this resonated with you, consider liking and subscribing. It helps this message of peace reach those who need it most.